Hello and welcome back to Conan Exiles. This is episode 2 of our Remove Your Bracelet little guide series. And in the last episode, if you remember, we did a brief introduction into the start of the game and made some suggestions of things to do and avoid at first. We also looked at how we then go to the dregs, which is your first dungeon, how you take that on, and then retrieve an item called the Staff of the Triumvirate, which we then took to the Tower of the Bats to turn into the Awakened Staff, which we started to interact with and listen to. And if you remember, he brought us here to this place, and we spoke to the ghost over there, the archivist, however you want to pronounce his name, who told us about a few different items to remove our bracelet. And we were going to start on that journey. And today we're going to go and collect, hopefully, our first 2 items required to remove the bracelet. And one of them that he tells us about is the Diadem of the Giant Kings. And to get this, we need to make our way up north to this location here, just near to the Mounds of the Dead. Now, this isn't necessarily a journey you would make early on in game. You'd probably attempt this a little bit later on. But that is our first location that the staff guides us to. It's entirely up to you. If you do this straight away, you could do, but be warned, it's not going to be very easy. And then it will then tell us from that location to go to our second one. But let's head off and get our first item from the location that we need it. And then we'll discuss where we need to go from there to get the second one for today. So let's jump into it. Okay, so here we are at the first of our locations, which, if you remember, the staff had mentioned about a diadem belonging to a giant king, saying that he fell with Tyros in the battles of the north, and a lot of people would think, well, where does that mean? Well, if we take a look at our map, if you remember, we were just down here in the unnamed city. Where it's sending you off to is all the way up here in the Highlands, which is this green area of the map, and you can just see us just there up in the Highlands. We are in round about B11. If we zoom in a bit, as you can see, up near the Mounds of the Dead. So this is the Mounds of the Dead here, and we're just across this little part here, facing west in B11 to this little location here. And this is where we'll have probably not one of our first boss fights, because you may have already fought a few bosses at this point in the game. Now, you could follow the way the staff says to go and come and do this fight first, but personally I'd concentrate on playing the game a little bit more sort of in the Riverlands and the middle area, sort of the desert, before you work your way up to here, because you'll need some slightly better armor than you did at the very beginning. Even if you're in medium, ideally you want to have maybe crafted it on your improved armorer's bench by now, and possibly you might have got yourself a couple of legendary weapons from the dregs if you've been back and done that again, or possibly one of the other dungeons you may have attempted, and you may have been around and maybe killed a couple of overworld bosses, shall we call them, and got yourself a couple of decent weapons by now. Because this is a little bit harder as you get up here. The map is kind of a progression system, damage wise, if you will. So when you start down in the Riverlands, as we call it, or the New River area, the enemies are quite weak and don't hit very hard, and then the further north you go, the harder they start to hit, from your exiles to your Defaris. Then you're starting to get into your Dogs of the Desert clan. Then you get up into the Highlands with the Nordheimers. You've got Lemurians over in the far right in the jungle, and then you get up into the volcano where you've got the votaries of Skelos, who hit like absolute trucks, but we're not anywhere near that yet, so we don't need to worry about that too much. But as I say, we're here in the Highlands, so you want ideally something decent. Or if you've been playing the game for a little while, you know, you decided to wait once you've spoken to the archivist, and you thought, I'm not going to go up north yet, I'm not ready for that. So you've progressed a little bit, you've leveled yourself up a bit more, and as I say, got yourself a bit better armors and weapons. Maybe you've ventured up here into the Highlands a little bit and been over to this place here, Tellis Island, because you've seen lots of videos around talking about getting yourself a greater bear, so you've been here maybe as one of the best pet, if you're a pets kind of person, got yourself some bear cubs and maybe turned them into one of these. Yes, we've got our I say little, but little greater bear friend with us, named in honour of a very victorious, now known as Sir Brownie, shall we say, on PC, who's just recently, and congrats again to Angor for hitting 23,000 subs, absolutely awesome. And of course his Brownie is now Sir Brownie, so we thought, when I showed this one in stream, we hadn't named him at the time, so I decided that we'll name him Brownie, but we'll call him Brownie the Second in honour of his predecessor, who is Sir Brownie. Just to show you again, even on console, that the bears can be absolute beasts, shall we say. So yeah, we are here, just to the west side of the Mountains of the Dead, as I say, and we're going to go in to fight the Barrow King. But in order to get into this little location, and it doesn't tell you again that you'll need this, but when you come up here, come prepared with some demon blood, because you will need demon blood to get into the little cave, if you will. So we're going to head up here, and there should be some whites that will pop out of the ground. Oh, there they are. Let the bear do his thing, as you can see. Absolute beast, even on console. So if you haven't got yourself a greater bear yet, why haven't you? And of course he is already level 20, got all his buffs on, plenty of healing food. I won't go into all the details on that, because obviously we'll be here for a while otherwise, but if you want to know all the ins and outs of a greater bear and how good they are, then check out Angor's channel, where he goes into all the details. I know there's many episodes there where he's spoken about his greater bear and the buffs he has and etc. Come on, bear, you gonna do anything? I'm not bothering looting these guys either, because I don't really need anything from them. But you could always check them, because they can have some useful bits and pieces on them. Now, if you come up here the first time and you haven't bought your demon blood, there is, if I can remember where it is, a little book on the floor just there that you can interact with. No, it's time the bear to move, but yeah, it will kind of tell you a clue of what's happened. So this big ring here is where we need to go into, and because we've got demon blood on us, if we interact with it, it will of course open. Now if you don't have demon blood on you, this won't open, so do make sure you bring some demon blood up with you to get in here, otherwise you'll have a little bit of a problem. And then you want to make your way in here, and that guy in there is the person we need to fight. Brownie, you coming? Yep. So this is the first of our bosses that we need to take on. Whoop, to get our first item. Has he fallen into the floor? Yes, he has. Look at that. Oh no, he's up again. There we go. Apologies if the lighting still isn't great. It's not the best of lighting in these caves. But look at the damage he's doing to him. You could do this with a human follower. You could take this guy on yourself if you even wanted. It's pretty easy, even though he is a 3 skull. Look how fast he's going down. He's just absolutely, a couple more hits, and down he goes. Absolutely awesome. Nothing in here to learn, I don't believe. But what you need to do is, if you have a look on him. Now I think on PC you had to hack this guy up to get this. When Angor did this, I think it was back in his playthrough, think it was 2023 for his beginner's guide series. You had to hack him up to get this. But if we look at that item there, which is what we're after, he does have some other useful bits and pieces you could take as well, and you could obviously hack him up if you need to. You don't get a great deal of useful stuff, maybe a few bits and pieces, bones, hide. But that's the item that we're interested in, the Diadem of the Giant Kings, and that is the first of our items that we need. You can click on the information for it and it will obviously tell you a little bit about it, what it is, what it's all about, and it will also say at the bottom as well, if I can just remember the correct number, button to press. No, I didn't want to duplicate that. I don't know why that did that. Drop that one. Shouldn't have duplicated it, that's weird. Bear with me. Information. No, it's not going to do it at the moment. Buttons have been a bit weird. Rather than doing that, you can read the information on it and it will tell you what it is, give you a little bit of lore, and obviously say at the very, very bottom that this is one of the items required to remove your bracelet. So that is number one. A little bit of a challenge to get up here, you know, especially with the skeletons, so you do want to be careful because they can hit quite hard, as you saw. So come up here with a good follower if you've got one, be they human or otherwise. And that is the first item. Apologies about the background noise there if you pick that up. I shall hopefully have that out of the way for the next bit. But yeah, that'll close behind us again, and it's now raining. And my stuff has just been a bit weird at the moment, I think because I've already done this, it doesn't want to give us the right details. But essentially now from here, what it will then tell you to do, if you run back down here, now I think because this is on a server, these guys shouldn't have respawned. They could have done, or there could be some that we missed. But if we get back down here, if you get yourself back out of here again, round to an area where it'll allow you to place your staff down. If you place it down, speak to it again, and it will send you to the next location. And the next location, if I bring up the map, it now wants us to go from all the way in the west, all the way over to the east, which is all the way over here in the jungle, down here at this location. So you've got the Black Lotus Garden where you can farm Black Lotus from, just here next to it, and then you've got the area here where the Palace of the Witch Queen is. And that is what it wants us to do next. It wants us to get the Mask of the Witch Queen, which means we need to go and fight the Witch Queen in her palace, which to be honest is probably one of the easiest fights in the game. Not terribly dangerous, but she can hit quite hard if you're not careful. So I'm going to make my way there, and I will meet you when we're at that location. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, so we've made our way across the map from west to east, and we're now here at our next location. And just for anybody who may be interested, the outfit I'm wearing at the moment, just to showcase this, is the Lemurian Royal, which essentially isn't probably an actual armour that you would use for combat per se. It does have stats on it. As you can see, this is just a basic spawned version. I haven't crafted this or anything, but just to show you what's on there and what it looks like. To be honest, most people would probably just use this as a transmog item with your sorcery to illusion your armor into this, but this is one of the recipes that you will learn inside this dungeon when you defeated the Queen. So, as I say, we're here, and that down there is the Palace of the Witch Queen. So I'm going to check our little friend here, and then we're going to head on in. Right, well I've checked our little friend here, he's all good, his buffs are still up and running. Not that he'll need them for this fight, but he has them. And just as I started this, it did pop up on the screen with the name, so it's the Palace of the Witch Queen. So we're going to head on in here through this door. Now I don't know if it'll happen this time, but on the way out there can be a little bit of a bug where you seem like you're falling from the top down the bottom. So just be mindful of that, but we'll see what happens on our way out. But as you can see, we head in. I don't know if it is, but there could be little chests possibly at the back of the waterfalls if you fancy jumping in to have a look and try that out. You don't have to do, but what you want to do is make your way up here into this room. And as you'll see, door closes behind us and this will start up. Statue will come to life. Very, very slow. They do hurt a little bit. They don't do too much damage to you. But again, you take on these guys. Let's just help him on the way a little bit. Fairly easy to destroy, so you destroy that guy. Then it will do a little fancy light show. You can stand in those, they do hurt a little bit, they don't hurt a lot, but if you stick to the middle where we are, you'll be perfectly fine. So it'll do that a couple of times, do it again. As you can see, we're right in the centre here and we're perfectly fine. Doing it again. Of course the Witch Queen is up there on her throne behind that barrier, so we can't get to her yet. So it'll give you this little bit of a fancy light show, then it'll charge up this guy, and then this guy will come and try and attack us. Of course you will have the lights going this time, so just be mindful that they are charging up this time and going to be hitting. So just watch out for those, but again, as you can see, very minimal health on these guys, even though they look dangerous, they're really not. And if you've got a good follower with you, a human follower would dispatch them even quicker. But now we just want to wait. Hopefully she will appear. As we're taking those down. Come on. There she is. 3 skull boss. As you can see, she was after us at first. And you can see her wearing the Lemurian armour there, the Royal Lemurian that I was just showing you. But as you can see, not a lot of health, and you can pretty much down her very, very easily. And as you can see, door opens up again. Then if we look in her inventory, a couple of interesting, say interesting bits of loot you might want. We want this piece, of course. And you can take this key as well. So as we see there, Mask of the Witch Queen. So again, it'll give you the details. And that is the second of our 6 pieces that we need to remove our bracelet. But also, this key that she dropped is something interesting, which is kind of cool. And it does kind of give you a clue where you need to go. This is sort of a side little piece that you can do. You don't have to go back and do this straight away. You could visit this anytime. But with this key, you can make yourself back across to the west. If you go back over here to Sepamaru, and there is a little place in Sepamaru, because as the key would suggest, the key to Rasma's quarters. Rasma, aka the Witch Queen, is someone you can actually go and speak to in game, just as you can Conan. And for those who don't know, little nugget, she is actually the female that you see cut down off the cross by Conan in the intro scene to the game. That is actually Rasma of Shem that's fighting with him, and she'll kind of tell you a little bit and explain what happened here and what went on. So what we'll do now is, just as a little side piece so you can see that, I'm going to head out of here, head back across to the west, and I will meet you in Sepamaru where we need to be. So I will see you in a few. Okay then, so here we are in Sepamaru over on the west side, and as you can see we're just down at this part of Sepamaru. So if you come in from towards the unnamed city, which is just up that way, and you come around past the rhinos, so at Silver Mine, if you go straight out of that gate and straight across, the Silver Mine is just across from you down on the right, then the unnamed city a little further on. But if you come in through that gate, you've got these people here that you can make into your friends if you so wish. There's lots of people all around here. Just tell Brownie to stop following a moment so we don't get stuck. But just before we do this bit, this building here with the door that looks like it's kind of open, if you climb up onto here and interact with this little stick here, that's the Relic Hunter garb or Relic Hunter armor, which essentially is, if we take a look at this person here, not quite the top part, but what he's wearing, very similar. So this person here, the top and the pants and the boots, that's the Relic Hunter clothing that they're wearing. That is where you can learn that recipe. So, as I say, with this building, if you've got the key to Rasmus' quarters in your inventory, if you walk up to this door and then interact with it, it'll be a bit slow and a bit weird, but as you can see, it will open up. And then you can step inside. And you can see it's got a bed and a few other bits and pieces. But then if we look around here, we can see somebody in heavy armour. Who is this? Rasma of Shem.
I wanted to thank you. The woman that you met in those ruins, that was not me. She was ancient and wicked and powerful. You almost killed me in that city. I cannot begrudge you that. Such a terrible, awesome creation. While I wore the mask, I was somebody else. I was something else. Such power and knowledge. I stood on an island in a vast ocean. I could see across the water in every direction. And that ocean was time. I am sorry. It is difficult to describe. All I have are fragments. Her memories evaporate from my mind like mists above the oasis. If you have questions, you must ask them quickly. My mind is leaking, purging itself of all traces of that woman. She knew so much about these bracelets we wear, about the Giant Kings and the ancient war, about the darkness that lurks in the volcano, and... Just ask, friend, before I lose the nerve to speak. The bracelets, she made them together with the Giant Kings. The bracelets were imbued with the power of 7 artifacts. The Witch Queen's mask, the diadem of the Giant Kings, the tears of 2 races, the shining trapezahedron, the star of the champion, the heart of the sands, and the black ring of Set. The bracelets were created to translate any language for the wearer, to allow swift movement around the Empire, and to allow communication and recording through the lore stones. It was only later, when the war began, that the Queen suspected that the Giant Kings had included a death weave in the sorcery. Any who tried to flee their control were simply killed by the curse wall. Her people, the Lemurians, were the remnant of a desperate race. Her memories before the exiled lands are vague and confused. Flashes of an island kingdom, sinking as the world heaves. A people being subjugated with fire and sorcery. An escape, and a long, treacherous journey into the West. I'm sorry, it's fading so quickly. I remember a daughter, Tellith, and a great betrayal. And a grandchild. She was a mother and a grandmother. She knew what it was to be a slave, and didn't want that for any of her people. She would stop at nothing to prevent it from happening again. Can you blame her?
Not really.
Her mind shies away from two things: her grandchild and what her people found in the volcano. Her grandchild was not truly human. Zoltar? He was a hostage or something else. I'm sorry. For her, these memories were laden with emotion. I see a beloved daughter, and a hated foe, and a child that brings hope. It is so very unclear. As for what her people discovered at the volcano, horror, anger, and disgust, and fear. This is the only memory where the Witch Queen of Lemuria felt fear. I truly don't know what I will do now that I have my freedom. Conan has offered to accompany me north, back to my home city in Shem. My palace awaits me, and the pampered life of a princess of Shem. But my enemies, the ones who sent me here, they also await me there. Perhaps instead, I will travel with Conan a while, see the world by his side. He is formidable, yes, for a barbarian. You almost killed
So,
me in
there
that
we go.
city.
She's just going to carry on saying the same
Cannot
things
push
again
me.
now. Yeah, lots of interesting things there, lots of clues.
While
She
I
mentions
was
all of the items again, so the Diadem of the
silence,
Giant Kings, which we've got,
something
Mask of the Witch
inside,
Queen, which we just got from,
such
well,
power
her
and
alternate
knowledge,
being, shall we say.
spanning
Star of the Champion,
a vast ocean.
Tears of Two Races, she
So
mentioned them all.
scattered in every direction.
Right, can hear her talking still. I'm just going to move away a little bit a moment just so that we can't hear her talking still. But yeah, so that is the first couple of pieces that we need. One of them that she mentioned is the Star of the Champion, which is from here, from the sinkhole, which you may have discovered by now. But I don't want to make these episodes too long, so we're not going to go and do that one now because we've done this extra little visit here. So that will be our visit for the next episode. In the next episode, we shall go and get the next one, which is the Star of the Champion, which we'll have to go and fight a big undead dragon and explore that area. So I shall highlight that in our next one. So again, we've made a little start there. We've been up north. We've got the Diadem of the Giant Kings from the guy up in his little tomb up here. We've been across to the east and now claimed the Mask of the Witch Queen, so we have 2 of the 6 pieces so far. So our third one will be the Star of the Champion, which we get from here. And as you can tell, this is why it can take such a long time to do, because especially the Heart of the Sands, which is one of the pieces, actually takes a lot more to do, because it's one of the bigger ones. It's probably going to take an episode, because you've got 3 different locations: a cave down here that you visit for one piece of it, another cave up further in the swamp area for a second part of it, and then you've also got to visit an area over here, which we will do in the episode, and take these 3 pieces then down to another location back down here to turn them into the Heart of the Sands, which that's an episode in itself. But we've claimed our first 2, so 2 of the 6 towards removing our bracelet, which is a pretty good start. Fairly easy fights, as you can see. You could do them solo quite easily, or if you've got yourself a 4-legged friend or even a 2-legged friend that can do some decent damage with some decent armor and weapons, you would be perfectly fine. But as I say, that's going to do it for today. Hope you've enjoyed this one. If you did, leave your comments and your questions down below. Leave a like on the video. Consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. If you did miss the first episode where we started out and we explained what we're doing on this journey, do go back and check that one out. But thank you so much for watching, and until the next episode, from Brownie and from me, it's bye bye for now.